Welcome back to another episode of Writer's Block. I am your host, as always, journal staff writer Sean Reider. Today we have a great conversation with Tony Garcia. He covers Michigan for the Detroit Free Press. He does a phenomenal job on the Michigan beat. That is one of the wilder beats in all of college sports the last couple of years, and Tony has held it down. Of course, he is helping us preview New Mexico's opener against Michigan at the Big House, night game. Kind of a big deal in a lot of respects. A game that you can always get excited for, always get excited to cover. And Tony did a great job helping us break it down. Before we get into it, I do, as always, want to encourage you guys to subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to Writer's Block, subscribe to all of that. You can find our podcast through the Albuquerque Journal on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I highly recommend subscribing there. Done a lot of great podcast work coming out, headlined by kind of our leading news pod that's been doing really well. And also, subscribe via the YouTube and watch there if that's your kind of cup of tea. With that being said, excited to show you our conversation with Tony and, provide a couple details on how Michigan's looking heading into the first game of the season.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
All right, today I am pleased to be joined by the great Tony Garcia, Michigan reporter for the Detroit Free Press. You can follow his work at freep.com. Does a really good job covering what has been one of the crazier beats in college athletics over the last couple of years. Tony, how are we doing today, man?
Good, dude. And I'm only here because you saved me that day we met. You thought I wasn't going to bring it up. Sean and I met a few years ago at MIS, like a big NASCAR series. I don't know if we were doing cross country or NASCAR. I think it was NASCAR that day.
Is it the Firekeepers Casino 400, if I recall?
There you go. And I don't know what happened, but I got disassociated from my car, which does not, I got a pretty good sense of direction normally, but I think I wasn't parked where I was supposed to be or something. And Sean, who I had never met and met on the way out that day, you spent like an hour helping me find my car that day, dude. You remember we were driving in circles in traffic. Cops weren't letting us go. I mean, they were letting out a NASCAR race, and you saved the day that day. So this is the absolute least I could do.
I have thought about this for a long time because I remember by the time I dropped you off, it was completely dark out, and you're just like, I'm just gonna get out here. Where was your car?
Bro, I tried to block it out of my memory. I don't know. But we were in Brooklyn, Michigan. We were both over an hour plus from where we lived. You had done your job. You got me. I could tell it was the right parking lot because there's a bunch of sections of parking lots and everything's getting one way after an event like that. We were just blocked out of where we needed to get. I was like, this poor guy who just spent an hour helping me and has many better things to do. He's off the hook now. So that was a crazy time. And I see your stuff every now and then. You're doing an awesome job too. And I was like, man, and he's a good guy. I'm like, he's not just a good writer, good guy. I'm like, check that out.
Contrary to popular belief. Obviously, New Mexico opening up at Michigan, big one. Michigan has had a newsy couple of weeks. But there was one big update today, the day that we're recording, Monday of game week. Former 5-star recruit and number one player in the class of 2025, quarterback Bryce Underwood, the pride of Belleville High School, kind of a Michigan legend that's become probably the most hyped up national recruit I can remember out of Michigan, will be Michigan starter against New Mexico. As a guy that covers this program day in and day out, was this really a quarterback competition, or did you kind of feel that it was Underwood's job to lose?
I mean, it was certainly Underwood's job to lose from the start. Now, this December, they did bring in Mikey Keene from Fresno State, who I think you guys are pretty familiar with. And I think that him being a graduate student, I thought the thought process at the time was to have an experienced quarterback sort of push the young guy, but then he wasn't available all of spring, and really he hasn't been available in the summer. And as far as I know, he's still just doing individual work. I mean, he has not done much of any team anything. So once the most experienced guy was not there, and then their starter last year, Davis Warren, he tore his ACL in the bowl game. So there were two players getting reps all spring. It was Bryce Underwood and Jaden Davis, who was at one point the heir apparent to J.J. McCarthy. So while everybody always assumed it was Bryce's job, I mean, it was just, I mean, the red carpet was laid out for him. I mean, he just had to walk down it for sure. And he's an unbelievable talent. So, and Michigan paid a pretty penny to get him here. He did not transfer away from LSU or decommit from LSU to come to Michigan to not start. So, I mean, it would have been absolutely shocking if he wasn't the starter. But by this point, I mean, for months we've known this is his guy. Like, this is the guy. So Michigan, I mean, they called it a quarterback competition, but I mean, I think that's being pretty friendly with it.
As a follow-up, do you guys know what injury Keene is dealing with at this point? Because that was always my thinking too. It's like, hey, he's almost like an insurance policy to a certain degree, but they have not said what injury he's dealing with.
No, upper body of some sort. They have not. I don't like to speculate, but no, they keep those things really close to the chest, unless it's like Andrew Babalola, their 5-star tackle, who just tore his knee and he's going to get season-ending surgery. When it's something major like that, then we sort of find out, and then they'll disclose it. But no, I haven't heard anything about what the specifics are with Mikey. But then they were so unconfident that Mikey was going to be back, they brought in Jake Garcia from East Carolina to be another sort of like guy who started at the Power 4 level. But he's not even the backup. It's actually Jaden Davis, who was the 4-star recruit in 2024, who was going to be the backup. So it was sort of the homegrown guys all along, which the Davis winning the backup job surprised me a little bit.
And, you kind of touched on the talent and all this too. I mean, I'll reiterate again. I don't remember a high school football recruit out of the state of Michigan that had this kind of national rep and this national hype quite like Underwood did. I think there was a period in like 2023 where I was realistically thinking like, yeah, he's probably going to win every single state title at Belleville from here on out, which didn't happen, which might have been a little bit of an upset there, honestly. You covered the recruitment. You've covered the player. What made Underwood so special as a recruit, and why was it such a huge win for Michigan to keep him in state?
I mean, guys who are 6'4", 225 pounds, run a sub 4.5, 40-yard dash at 17 years old, just don't grow on trees, right? I mean, he can see over the line, which is a huge advantage. He can outrun pretty much anybody in the secondary or on the defense unless they're in the secondary. And at that point, he can kind of run them over. Not that Michigan wants him running anybody over, to be clear. They are protecting their prized possession here, but he just has everything you want. I mean, I've gotten to know his private personal quarterbacks coach over the last year or so. So I got to go to like one of his private workouts over the summer in Detroit, and I've covered the Lions and pro training camps and things like that. And I'm not going to say he's some polished passer like Jared Goff, but the ball is not, it's not all that different, like coming out of his hand, right? Like there's just a big, powerful arm that is just not what you normally see. Now, I've never seen him, other than in high school, play a game, right? Nobody's seen him play in college. So the processing, the way he deals with live decisions, the risk minimization and all those things that you need to see a quarterback do, that's still all up for grabs. But in terms of tangible talent, I've not seen a college quarterback look like this in person.
And you covered it every step of the way last year. That was kind of the big issue of Michigan last year. They were just not getting reasonable average production out of the quarterback spot. Davis Warren was playing a lot of snaps. Alex Orji is now at UNLV and kind of rotate a little bit in for that Idaho State game. Considerable struggles last year. Just struggled to reliably throw the ball, struggled with receivers and all that too. But it ended up, sitting 5-5, I think, late in the season. Then they went on that run, curb stomping Northwestern, shocking Ohio State, probably the biggest upset I can remember in that series, and then taking out Alabama in the bowl game. For the team as a whole to kind of start, what is kind of the vibe around the program entering this season after, kind of a disappointing year, but one it seems like they solved a pretty good deal of issues from?
I think they said it best today. It was Sherrone and it was Rayshawn Benny, who's one of the senior defensive linemen. Ernest Hausman, a linebacker who was just elected one of the captains for the team. He's a really great guy. This summer he went back to to Uganda, his hometown, and he put in like clean drinking wells and all these sorts of things. And while he is obviously not comparing this situation to that, he was referencing some lessons he learned while he was there. And he was talking about, as they say, one of the messages he was sharing is he was talking about, he's like, when I was there, he's like, you have no idea how fast people will eat their meals. It's because they're not hungry. They're starving. He's like, that's us. That needs to be us. We are not hungry this year. We are starving to get back to the college football playoff. And so, the comparisons are chasms apart, but the sentiment of how much Michigan was not satisfied with last year, even with a wonderful ending, beating Ohio State, beating Alabama. They technically beat Alabama 2 times in 2024 on the first day of the year and the last day of the year. But it was the way. 5-5 after a national championship was not anybody's idea of the way that season was going to go. It's year 2 under Sherrone Moore, and they're looking to get back to the college football playoff.
There are a lot of dudes back from what was a top 20 scoring defense, and probably, honestly, you look at what they did in the kind of the back end, particularly with like Ohio State and Alabama, probably better than what the numbers suggest there. Derek Moore, you mentioned Houseman, Zeke Berry, Jay-Sean Barham. Like, we could keep going for a bit. There's a lot of dudes with this defense. They did lose 2 guys in terms of up front, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant to the NFL. What are you kind of expecting out of this defense? And do you think there is a world in which it could be better than it was last year, where it kind of saved them in so many different spots?
I don't know if they can get better than they were at the end of the season, like that Ohio State game. They held Ohio State, who we saw put up 50-some points in the playoff, go to the national championship. They held them to 10 points at their own place, right? And so I don't know if they can get better than that. But I think they could be possibly, when they peak, maybe as good. It's just going to come differently, right? Because they talk about being 10 deep on the defensive line up front. There's 6 different defensive tackles, sort of 3 waves of guys who they're going to send at people, and there's 2 sets of edges. Derek Moore and TJ Guy are the starters, and then Cam Brandt and Dom Nichols. Dom Nichols is a guy who people know, most people, unless you cover the team, don't know his name right now. I think the Big Ten is going to be very familiar with Dom Nichols' name by late October. That's one of my predictions here. But they're just going to come in waves. It's kind of like that 2023 team. Not in turn. I don't know that there's a Chris Jenkins, a Mason Graham, a Kenneth Grant. But the idea is what they used to call it back then is the rally group. You go as hard as you possibly can until you can't give any more. You rally off the field. Somebody comes in and replaces you, and then they just keep it going. Last year, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant both had like upwards of like 100 to 150 more snaps than they had ever taken in their entire career. So by the end of this, and mind you, they had played a 15-game season in 2023, and they only played 12 games. Because they sat out the bowl game in 2024. So they just had to be on the field 50 plus snaps a game. This year, I think you're going to see defensive tackles somewhere between 25 and 35 snaps a game. I don't think anybody's going to in the trenches is going to be playing much more than that, except maybe the starting edges might get up to 40 in a game, but it's just going to be waves and waves and waves. The secondary I need to see a little more out of. Jair Hill is a dude. He is a dude, and he can step into the Will Johnson shoes. I don't think he is Will Johnson yet, but Will Johnson wasn't really available last year. So he really, his learning process was expedited a season ago. And so, look, the best thing they have going for them is it's year 2 under Wink Martindale. Last year, they had a new defensive backs coach, new linebackers coach, new defensive line coach, and a new defensive coordinator. Every single coach on that side of the ball was new. They all returned. That level of continuity and just being familiar with the terminology, that's going to help this year for sure.
Obviously second year for Martindale and all that too. What can, schematically with this defense, Martindale, obviously, long NFL career, working with the Giants and the Ravens primarily too, as a DC and, position coach and all that. What can New Mexico fans expect schematically from this Michigan defense right now?
Oh, if you can figure it out, let me know. We're still looking. I know you know ball too, basketball as well. And you hear all about the NBA's positionless basketball, right? That's what Michigan football is. It is a positionless defense. They like to call it that. Their base is sort of a 4-2-5. So they got 2 linebackers, 4 defensive linemen, and they're kind of in a nickel. Just to start, they have two corners, two safeties, and a nickel. But I mean, this year they're talking about bringing Jayshon Barham, who is, I mean, just a thumper at linebacker. They might spin him down to edge. So I don't know if they're going to count that as a third linebacker and maybe bring in like a Jimmy Rolder type alongside him. So they'd have two middle linebackers and move someone who's normally a lot like an outside guy down to edge. And then that's how they get their five up front. Maybe they'll play four in the back. I mean, I've seen them go five. They're normally four down linemen. Frequently, I see them go five. And on occasion, they will only go three. So, I mean, this is a multiple defense. It's an NFL style scheme. It's sort of, I mean, before them, it was Jesse Minter, who's now the defensive coordinator at the Los Angeles Chargers. Before him, it was Mike McDonald, who's now the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. They all come from the John Harbaugh Ravens tree. And I mean, that's quite the, like, it's quite the coaching acumen that's come through here on the defensive side of the ball. Wink's just kind of put his own little twist on it. And like you said, I mean, he coordinated NFL defenses for 2 decades. So there's a lot of experience, and it's multiple. He likes to say that he hates like the PFF and those sorts of things, because he's like, I don't blitz that much. There's simulated pressures. Like he's like, you got to learn what a blitz is. And so there's always like the arguments about what is a blitz and what isn't a blitz. But I mean, he will bring pressure from any level of the defense at any time. So it is all over the place.
We touched on, obviously, some of the offensive struggles last year, and I think, obviously, kind of the clear hope is that Underwood will be able to step up and remedy some of those issues in the passing game, and obviously giving opposing defenses, a bit more to be conscious about in a way that Michigan offense just wasn't really able to do last year. But after, I think it averaging just like 22 points a game last season, how has Michigan retooled or upgraded the offense beyond bringing in guys like Underwood?
Yeah, well, they brought in a transfer running back from Alabama, Justice Haynes. He's expected to be, it's not a 1-2 punch. They've been very clear. It is a 1A, 1B punch with him and Jordan Marshall. And this week they're sorting out, still to this day, who's going to be 1A, who's going to be 1B. I think you're going to see a lot of both of them all year long. They brought in Donovan McCulley from Indiana. Last year, Michigan just did not have any size at wide receiver at all. And, that was part of the reason, certainly not the whole reason, but a part of the reason why they really couldn't push the ball down the field. The majority of the reason, I'd argue, was the quarterback. And then it didn't help that their offensive line was no good in pass protection. So it was just kind of the perfect storm of yikes passing the ball. But Donovan McCulley, 6'5", 205. He's 2 years ago at Indiana, he had like 650 receiving yards, 49 catches, and 6 touchdowns. I mean, he's proven it at the Division I level. They brought in Andrew Marsh, who's a 4-star receiver. He's going to be their starting kick returner. He's kind of working his way in on the 2 deep in terms of receivers, but he's their highest rated wide receiver recruit since Donovan Peoples-Jones, who was a 5-star back in 2017. So, I mean, and he's got some size, rangy, 6'1", 6'2". Jamar Browder, 6'4". He was previously committed to NC State. He's not going to see time right away, so I guess maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it for the New Mexico game. But that's just sort of the way they're trying to supplement this. I mean, they added size on the outside, added a proven running back. Tight end, they have to replace Colston Loveland, top 10 pick in the NFL draft. That's obviously huge. But Michigan, I mean, everybody is either wide receiver you or running back you or quarterback you or whatever. Michigan might be, I mean, they'll have to fight with Iowa for it, but Michigan might be tight end you. I mean, they've got Loveland, A.J. Barner, and Luke Schoonmaker all in the last 3-4 years, who are all now either about to or a serviceable NFL tight end right now. And they got a handful of them this year. Marlon Klein is a captain. Hogan Hansen is very capable. Deacon Tonelli, Zach Marshall, and Max Bredesen, who is the quote unquote heartbeat of the team. He's not just a tight end; he's a fullback. And so, they just got weapons for days. They all do something slightly differently, and I should say weapons for days at tight end. And so they just tried to supplement it. And the fact of the matter is the quarterbacking cannot possibly be worse than it was a year ago. Just almost statistically, they had more interceptions than touchdowns. They did not have a single 40-yard pass play the entire season, which you can just luck into, like on a screen pass or on any broken play. They did not have one. The only teams that passed for fewer yards than them were Army, Air Force, and Navy. They run the ball. They're triple option teams. So just from the fact that it can't be worse, that's why there is just so much optimism.
Yeah, some statistics. It's good company to have the service academies around you, and but not exactly when it comes to passing the football. I think on my end, talking to fans and fans emailing me and kind of doing all that, I have heard the infamous App State game get referenced a couple hundred times at this point, and that's from a New Mexico perspective. How is Michigan treating this game in particular?
To their credit, they have. Now, here's what I'll say. When it's incumbent upon us media to do a better job of asking about the App States. In a couple weeks, they're going to play Central Michigan. But when we are finding out so much information about Michigan, I don't think respectfully, I don't think there was one New Mexico question, right? Like next week, we're going to be asking about Oklahoma and John Mateer and Jaden Ott and Brent Venables and how you stop all these things, right? But today was just so focused on, all right, who's starting right guard? Who's returning kicks? Who's RB3? Who's going to back up Underwood? And half the time was spent on Underwood actually getting named the starter, right? And so, but we've asked Sherrone about like, hey, what do you think about like you're going to be returning to Oklahoma next week, that's where he did his undergrad. He played football there. So like, what are you thinking about? And he's like, honestly, I'm just thinking about New Mexico. Like, that's it. Like over the summer, we were asking when they get announced that they were going to play a game in Germany next year. We're like, what do you guys think of this? Like, that's pretty crazy. They're like, honestly, we're just thinking about week one. We're just thinking about New Mexico. So they're saying all the right things. What I will mention, I think the only sentence I actually heard about what New Mexico does is all the trick plays, and so I think Michigan is ready. Michigan is ready for them to pull the cat out of the bag, so to speak, and I think they're prepared for. When a mid-major team comes in, there's nothing to lose, right? I mean, you got to leave it all out there. I mean, you should leave no stone unturned, and I think Michigan is ready for that idea because while App State was, I think it was 2007. I mean, it's going on 20 years. Maybe it was 2008. Nobody's forgotten about how that season opened, and so I think they're pretty confident that's not going to happen this time. At least that's their goal.
I think we all know like what success could look like, especially in the era of the 12-team playoff and the idea that you can catch lightning in a bottle and kind of ride that through to the semis and maybe the championship and do all that. In your eyes, what does a successful season look like for Michigan with this schedule? Not a particularly easy schedule by any stretch, at least in my opinion. What do you think success does look like for them this year? Year 2 of Sherrone Moore and year 1 for Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's ways that it is easy and ways that it's not, right? So they play a true SEC road game. They don't have back-to-back home games all season, and they only have 6 home games. They haven't had only 6 home games in a year in like 40 years.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. No back-to-back home games at all. I mean, it is home road the whole way. So that's tough as well. However, in terms of like a winning percentage, their Big Ten opponents have the lowest win percentage from last year of any team, right? So it's sort of which way you want to look at it. But I mean, it's not an easy schedule. They got to go to Oklahoma, got to go to Nebraska, got to go to USC, and then Ohio State coming in is always tough. But in terms of success, for me, it feels pretty black and white. If they make it back to the college football playoff, especially with a freshman starting at quarterback, that is a successful season. If they don't, it's pretty hard to call it a success. I mean, like that, and that hasn't always been the case, right? Like a couple years ago, they needed the national championship. Anything else was going to be a failure. When they did win it all, and everybody's bars of success, looks a little different. Some programs like we just got to get back to a bowl game. We haven't been there in 3 years. That'd be a successful season. Sometimes it's winning 9 games for the first time in a decade. For Michigan, it feels kind of black and white in my eyes. CFP, you did your job. If it's short, I mean, you can understand it, but it's certainly not a successful season.
Mm-hmm. I'll wrap it up on this. And I always hate to get put on the spot with this kind of question, particularly for games like this sometimes. Do you have a score prediction for what's going to happen Saturday at the Big House, New Mexico, Michigan?
Yeah, I did my predictions like a week ago. I don't remember the score I picked, so I'm gonna have to pull something out right now, and then I'll go look at it, and I'll be like, wow, like it's the same game. Why did I not say the same thing? I think that it might be a little bit of a slow start for Michigan just to get the offense going, but I think they will hit some big plays. I do think they will be able to run the football. Their defense is ahead of where it was a season ago. Like last year, it was 16-10 Michigan over Fresno State in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like, Fresno State was in the game in the fourth quarter, but I thought I sort of foresaw that coming. Like that one, I was like, Michigan like has its hands full. Like with Fresno State, I don't know that its hands are quite as full with New Mexico, but especially after losing that great running back, right, who's on Washington now in the NFL.
Oh, Ja'Cory? Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. That was 2 years ago. Devin Dampier, probably the big loss. Yeah.
But I think it was like 35-13.
So you do have them covering, I think, by the number then.
Yeah. I'm doing a bad job. Well, honestly, we've had NFL sanctions coming down. We've been on Bryce Underwood watch.
No. I totally get it.
So yes. I don't. Is the spread like 20.5? I haven't.
No, I think it's. Oh my God, I think it's at 36 or 37. Last I checked. I think
the spread is 36 points.
Oh yeah.
I think New Mexico will cover that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean that's a lot. That's a lot of points. Yeah, I think New Mexico covers that.
Okay. Tony, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I highly recommend it. If you want to read up on Michigan, if as a New Mexico fan before this game, please go follow Tony's work. Subscribe to Tony's work. Does great stuff for the Free Press. I think it's really important to support entities like the Free Press, honestly, right now. Tony, thanks again, man. It was awesome catching up with you and awesome reminiscing a little bit about our run-in at the Firekeepers 400.
Likewise, dude. I still owe you, so this was only time one. Whenever you need it in the future, I got you.
Thank you again, Tony. Appreciate it.